I secretly learned my older brother's Overlord Blade technique when I discovered that all the princes could leave deep knife marks on the 1,000-year meteorite. My heart began to stir after everyone left. I quietly walked up to the meteorite, picked up a stick nearby, and mimicked my older brother's moves. I gathered my strength and struck the meteorite with the stick. But to my surprise, there wasn't even a single mark on it. I began to doubt that I had any martial arts talent. However, as I turned to leave in disappointment, golden liquid began to flow from the 1,000-year meteorite. In the next second, a powerful sword chi shot through the entire training ground. When the master saw this strike, he was stunned. He immediately realized that I was the destined one for the Overlord Blade, but I had no idea about all of this and continued to be bullied by the princes like usual. Because my mother was a lowly palace maid from the moment I was born, I had no status as a prince mother, and I lived a life worse than slaves. We could only scavenge for steamed buns in the garbage water every day. The emperor saw me as a disgrace, even though my mother and I lived carefully. In the palace, the empress and the crown prince still often found excuses to humiliate us soon. The master and the emperor gathered all the princes to find the destined one to practice the Overlord Blade. Because the enemy's national master was preparing to steal the technique could slice through rivers with one strike, terrifyingly powerful. Only the Overlord Blade could suppress him. However, after all the princes tried, none could make the golden liquid flow from the 1,000-year meteorite. The only one left was me, whom they thought of as useless. Everyone had hope for me, but I wanted to change my and my mother's tragic fate. Finally, I drew the axe I used to chop firewood. However, just as I mimicked my older brother's moves, the enemy's national master suddenly appeared, immediately attracting everyone's attention. They didn't see the golden liquid on the meteorite. Only the master noticed me and instantly realized I was the destined one. The national master arrogantly demanded the royal family hand over the Overlord Blade technique, even challenging the entire royal family. With a wooden sword, the crown prince immediately agreed to the duel, but he didn't expect that after just a few moves, he was knocked over. The national master's momentum was simply too strong. The emperor also sent out the prince with the highest martial skills, but unfortunately, the third prince was no match for the national master. Even the steel sword forged from the celestial meteorite in the third prince's hand was shattered to dust by the national master's wooden sword, and the powerful air blast injured him, knocking him to the ground. Then the national master stepped on the third prince's body, threatening the emperor to hand over the Overlord Blade manual, or he would kill the third prince. However, the third prince refused to yield, knowing he couldn't win. He still rushed toward the national master. As a result, he was ruthlessly struck. Watching this scene, my heart was filled with unease because the third prince was the only one who truly cared for me. Once again, I drew the axe from my waist. The powerful sword key directly injured the national master, and the people present immediately recognized this as the first move of the Overlord Blade. The national master demanded I come out to fight. However, the master dared not let me